Childhood Circles by Dr. Alon Giladi. The Will for a Meaningful Life.
My grandparents from Haifa lived in those days on Mount Carmel, in a rental apartment that overlooked the Bay of Haifa and a relatively large condominium with a red-tiled roof. Once a month, my parents would bring my sister and me to Haifa. We would go up the mountain by the sea, driving through the center of the Carmel on Moriah Street to number 89A. On the fence, opposite the entrance to the street, hung a sign made by my grandfather with the house number written in bold. To get to the house, we would go down the main street along a path that turned into stairs after the bend. It was a shady path, full of greenery. An avenue of green bushes on both sides and old, low trees that connected to each other above it. Thus, we went down the main street to the old house, hidden among the trees on the mountainside. There was a procedure of equality between my grandparents. My grandfather washed the dishes, and my grandmother arranged the dishes on the table. My grandmother made the vegetable soup, and my grandfather the salad. My grandfather made the schnitzel, and my grandmother the rice. My grandmother would then serve the food on the table on the balcony facing the bay, and my grandfather would turn the dishes. We would then sit facing the view, eating and drinking, looking at the house opposite and the distant bay. At nights on the Carmel, my shortness of breath attacks were less frequent than those at Dizengoff Square in Tel Aviv. My grandfather would prepare a pot full of boiling water for me, and my grandmother would sit by my side briefly, caressing my head and wishing me good night. I loved my grandfather and grandmother, but I loved my grandfather very much. I loved him very much even though I knew almost nothing about him. In practice, my grandfather was my childhood friend. I had soulful conversations with him, conversations about the world and its entirety, conversations on Tikkun Olam. We would walk hand in hand through the tree-lined avenue on Moriah Street, facing the hidden path that descends from the street to the house on the mountainside. We would walk hand in hand, absorbed in small and big thoughts. To this day, when I come to Haifa, I make a habit of going to the old small avenue on Moriah Street and walking along it. But my grandfather is no longer there beside me, but only in my thoughts.